Well, our next guest may have not had The Rock cooking pancakes, but he's coming off a fresh win at UFC 281 at the Garden in New York. And he's kind enough to join us fresh from getting back home to his family. Literally one of our favorites to chat to. The man who owns the boardroom in our imaginary office, the one and only Dan the Hangman Hooker. Welcome back to New Zealand. Welcome back to Submission Radio, man.
Thank you, boys. Thank you, boys. It's good to chat under these circumstances for sure.
I know, right? All right. Well, first of all, congratulations on the win. The Conqueror has returned. But the most important question of all, what happened to the second pub talk, man? We were eagerly awaiting it. What happened?
What do you think? What do you think happened to the second
I know what happened. I just want to hear you say it.
Oscar got too drunk and no, we actually had to leave. Like I definitely didn't anticipate. Huge was coming around screaming at us at midday the next day. I think I just closed my eyes for about 20 minutes, and then it was time to get up and go and head to the airport. So airport trip, boys. Getting home trumped pub talk, unfortunately.
Was it a big one the night before, though? Is that part of the reason why it didn't happen?
Oh, not too bad. It's just weird, right? Like, it was just a bit of a weird one, really. Like, because it was like me and Carlos win, and then the other boys obviously like didn't get the results. So it's just the vibe was like weird. We were going to call it off altogether, except Israel like tricked us into going to the after party. Like, he comes in and he was fine. Like, he was absolutely fine after it. Like, he came in, he had a shower and stuff like that. He whipped on his mink coat and he's like, "Yeah, I'm just going to the press conference, boys. And then we're going to the after party," because we were just going to call it off, right? We were just quite happy to go back to the house and just hang out together and have a couple quiets. But Israel goes, no, we're going after party. And then you just like, well, the champ says we're going after party, So we all were like, oh, yeah, sweet as, like, get on the bus, like, get there. We would get it set up at the after party. And then he just, like, faked us out, eh? He was like, nah, I'm not coming up.
Oh, so he did it just to get you guys there.
Yeah, at that moment, I was like, oh, I see what happens here. Like, Israel's tricked us into going to the after party because he didn't want us to, like, I guess he didn't want, like, the guys that won and stuff and were celebrating to, like, go home, and he didn't really want to spoil our night, which he wouldn't have. Like, it would have been cool just to hang out and stuff like that. But he wanted us to go out, celebrate, and having a good night. So he had to feint us into the after party.
Yeah, but what sorry to cut in there, Dennis. What a good guy though, man. Like, doing that for you guys. Like, obviously he lost a pivotal fight, but then like he's still thinking of you guys, still thinking of the boys. He's just like, no, I want my friends to have a good time. Like, that's so selfless.
1,000%. Like, people got no idea how much of like a good bloke that Israel is, and how much of like a good friend and a good mate and a good training partner, and how much he does for the boys. Like, yeah, for him to lose like that fight, and to not only like do the press conferences, but be doing that and thinking like, scheming like, well, how can I trick the boys into having a good night? He's like, well, I'll put on a brave face. Like, he came in and he sold it. He convinced us. Like, wow. He came in and he was like, that's us boys. Like, we're on, boy. Like, he convinced us we were all going to the after party. We were just, I was adamant it wasn't going to happen, but he like, invigorated all of us to go out and have a good time and have a good night.
It's crazy because like in a time where you would think like, Israel would need like the boost of morale, which he didn't seem like he did, but in that time like that, he's trying to boost his teammates. He's trying to boost the morale of his other teammates who won. So that's incredible. Did someone get kicked out though? Just quickly before we move on, did someone get kicked out of the after party?
Are you talking about Dillon Danis?
Yeah. What happened there?
But I actually don't know. Like, there's so many people, there's so many varying reports. But my head of security, Waka, he said he was handily taken care of.
Why? What happened?
I wouldn't have a clue, mate. I saw him there, and I was like, that's like a weird dude to have there. Like, he was just drunk, just a mess, just making a fool of himself. I don't know. I don't know what happened. You'd have to, mate. You got to have my head of security, my head chef, Waka on the show. He'll maybe be able to explain the situation.
Jeez Louise. And then he goes around, almost gets in a fight with Nate Diaz on the street. He had a wild night, that Dillon Danis. All right. How about the emotion that went through you, Dan, after this win? Because we imagine that it would have been a pretty cool feeling. You get this W at Madison Square Garden. Take us through that. Like, what were you feeling? A classic post-fight interview, but what were you feeling when you got into the back after that win?
More just thinking about like Israel's fight. Really, like I ran through all my media and stuff like that. It was very cool to talk to all of those people, because I've done 20 fights in the UFC. That's like a lot of time. Like, all of these people. Like, it's quite cool. You become friends with all the people you're talking to. So it was like very cool, and just to see how stoked they were all for like me and my success, that was like really cool. But yeah, I didn't get like carried away then and there. I just got straight out back, and I was just excited to see Israel's fight, and because I wanted to get back into the changing room just to catch like the end of his warm up and stuff like that. So yeah, just straight away like locked into the next thing. I got back to the locker room just to watch him warm up, and then I was just out back with the boys, just watching his fight, and obviously like riding the emotional roller coaster that is like watching your friend compete in a moment like that. So it was just kind of more focused on his fight.
Yeah, like the job wasn't done. You went back there, still stuff left to do. We'll talk about Israel in a sec, but I want to find out from you. Like, I know you mentioned before the fight how important your team was to you, how you can't do this without them. But I wonder, like, now that you've had the performance and you've got that win, has that like sort of solidified anything to you, like this version of Dan Hooker compared to those other ones that we saw that wasn't able to do it without the team? Like, did you feel that difference when you were walking to that octagon and that fight after the fight? Can you kind of compare what that felt like?
Yeah, that's why like when I was talking to everyone before the fight, like they were like, oh, it seems like different. It seems like you're very like quietly confident in what you're doing, which I was. Like, I was already adamant that I was on the right path, and I had found like the right recipe that works for me from like learning from all those experiences and stuff. But I already knew that I was on the right path. So when like I pulled it off and everything went to plan, like it was kind of, I already knew that was the key ingredients, which was like, man, my team, my coaches, like surrounding myself with those people, getting out there, like having fun. Like, I knew that everything was already in place before that. So it wasn't a sense of like, oh man, will this work? Like, because I've done a lot of fights with like, and you think that you're going to have success, but you're just like, man, we'll see how this recipe works out. And the recipe, you put it on the cooker and it just absolutely explodes, and you're like, well, that was it. Like, I was pretty sure that I was adamant that I had a good recipe coming into this fight. So it was cool to see everyone else surprised, but I was like not surprised by how it all kind of played out.
Yeah, like I found the reaction and stuff on Twitter was interesting, because it was just like everybody was overwhelmingly pulling for you. I felt like a lot of people were just like, we really want Dan Hooker to get this win. And it felt like there was a lot on the line for you here. It felt like this is a must-win situation. Like, the recipe had to work and had to be delicious. Was there a sense of relief afterwards to sort of snap the losing skid?
Not so much relief. Like, I've had a lot of wins in the past where I'm just like super relieved that that's over. Like headlining in Auckland, and stuff like that, I remember just being overwhelmed with relief, like just being like, man, I'm glad that was a success, but I'm glad that that's over. This was not like I got it all done, and it felt like a fresh start. You know what I mean? It feels like my striking coach Twister, he after the fight, he said, like, congratulations on your debut. This is your debut. This is the first time. He kind of said, congratulations on your first fight. This is like the first time that I've actually gone out there and fought to my capabilities. So it's very cool to see. But yeah, I'm more looking at this as like a fresh start than anything else, as opposed to like, oh, glad that's over, and like a relief or like overwhelmed with joy or anything like that. It's just I'm just excited for the future, pretty much. Like I was just like, bam, like what's next? Like I got the recipe now. Let's cook the cake. Like let's get this going.
Yeah, the Gordon Ramsay of CKB. Just quickly, we had Eugene Bareman on the show before your fight, and we asked him what you mean to him. He basically spoke about how he'll be forever grateful to you for everything that you've done for him, helping get his foot in the door. You were the first UFC fighter he ever cornered, and he also kind of made clear that it's so important for all of the coaches to get this win for you. So I just want to get your thoughts, like, what does that mean to see? So Eugene Bareman say that about how much you mean to him, how much you mean to the coaches, and I guess vice versa. What do those guys mean to you now that after this experience in New York, especially?
Yeah, that was like real cool to share that moment with them. I don't know. They're I don't know. They're kind of like looking at me like he's finally got it. Like he's finally. Thank goodness, we've been screaming at this kid and banging his head against a wall, like watching this kid bang his head against a wall for like the longest period of time and like do it his way. Like now he's finally learned. He's finally learned how to like do it properly. You know what I mean? So I was like, very cool. It's same kind of thing. Like it's a fresh start. Everything's come together. I feel like I'm the best version of myself now, and I'm just kind of coming into my prime now. So it's just, I think, but yeah, it was like very cool to jump on the cage and like see their faces and see how happy they were that it's all coming together.
100%, man. Did you see somebody bet $79,000 apparently on Claudio?
Shame. Thanks, actual.
A lot of lunches.
You've lost a fan, Dan Hooker.
They bet on Claudio.
On Claudio, apparently, yeah.
Unlucky.
I hope it was like Elon Musk or something. Otherwise, somebody's not paying their rent anymore.
I hope that bloke mortgaged his house. I hope that bloke, financed all of his. I hope he's lost everything. That's what you get.
What are you doing, honey? I'm taking the kids. I'm leaving you. Why?
Well, you made $1,000 in the bank account. I'm taking 79 out.
Holy shit!
Joe.
Yeah, of course. Sorry, you go, Dennis.
Well, I was gonna say that sometimes those bets, they put it on the screen, kind of like, hey, like bet alert, this guy did this, and you're like, this is just not a good idea. And that's like one of those things where you see like some $79,000 on Claudia, you're like, yeesh, this is.
That's
maybe
confidence.
Keep that
right
one
there.
to yourself, big man. Yeah.
How do you know though? Like, do you really? Does it really? That's like when Drake keeps posting up and he's like, I put $50 million on Paddy Pimblett, and you're like, did he really? Did he really? You know what I mean?
And you're also like, don't bet on me, man. I don't need that curse.
Guy, I'm not sure. I don't potentially believe it.
Well, the thing that I do believe is in the excellent promo that you had with Joe Rogan, where you demanded somebody in Perth. Got to find out, man. Like, is that just off the cuff for you, or do you practice them in the mirror before the fight? Like, do they just come to you in the moment? Take us into that. Yeah.
Nah, you definitely don't. I don't know. I don't know. It just comes. It just comes out. Like you're influenced by like a lot of things over the years, and you watch like cool promos of like guys like Chael Sonnen and stuff. But it's not something. It's not something that I would like practice a million times in the mirror or something like that. Like it's just something that you say. You know what I mean? Like it comes on, like blowing in the wind. Yeah. Well, I didn't think about it. I was just like, any man. I thought I was pretty broad with my. That's like a pretty broad request. I said a date,
On
and
the
I
planet.
said any man on the face of the planet. Like that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. I feel like we have a lot of options. I'm leaving the door wide open.
It's very inclusive. Before we talk, like, we're not going to go through opponents or anything, but before we get into that, what did Joe Rogan's head taste like? I have to know this, and please spare no details.
Joe Rogan's head. It was glistening. It was
Sweet.
talking to me. It said, "Kiss me, Dan Hook. Kiss me." It tasted sweet. He had the sweat. It was magical. It was like, it was one of the best things I've ever tasted in my life. If I'm not gonna lie, if I'm being honest,
Product review
really
ever.
opened my eyes.
I mean, forget Paulo Costa's secret juice. Joe Rogan's head, kissing Joe Rogan's head after fights. That's really how you get along in life. The secret.
That's a good smelling man. That was a good smelling man. Well taken care of head. Not smelly at all. Delicious.
Testosterone levels went up 1,000% after that. Okay, so like Perth, dude.
I don't know.
Has the UFC, I know you've just gotten back to New Zealand, but has the UFC spoken to your management, Ash and Eugene, about Perth yet? And is this a real, opponent aside, is this a real possibility? Like, can we actually get this done? Because I know a lot of people are super excited about you fighting down in Australia.
Yeah, of course we can get it done. Why wouldn't we be able to get it done?
I don't know. We've been broken too many times. Our hearts have been broken.
From me?
Not from you.
No,
We're trying to get
I don't think by
opponents.
you. I don't think by you. I think by MMA in general. You know what I mean? We've been used and abused and full of false hope. Tony and Habib 6,000 times.
Me, mate, I said off I absolutely there's a strong possibility. Is there besides the championship fight, is there another lightweight fight on the card that's been announced?
The only thing we know is we spoke to Beneil Dariush, who's aiming to be on that card as a backup, maybe, but only if he has an opponent. But apart from that, that's all we've heard. That's all we've kind of known about.
Yeah, well, that's that's kind of the thing, right? Like if he flies over and makes weight, you can definitely know that I would have tried to put my hand up for that fight. That's not I'm gonna definitely try. I believe Ash is gonna talk to the UFC today, talk to Sean and Dana and stuff like that. So we'll probably have an update in the next couple of days or by the end of the week. But in terms of me, I'm completely healthy and I'm good to go. So I feel like if the fans want, the UFC will do whatever the fans want. If the fans want to see me on the card, which I feel like they do, I feel like it should be a part of the first card down in our corner of the world after all these shenanigans that have been going on. I feel like it'd be very cool to be a part of that card. And so it's definitely not going to be on my end if it doesn't.
What about this guy that lost the $79,000? Should we just lock him in as the opponent? Give him a chance to win some of that money back?
I would do it. I feel like every now and then, I believe I made the suggestion in the past, every now and then, one of the UFC fighters should get a lucky draw, just grab someone out of the crowd, should get a lucky draw for context. You know what I mean? This is what a normal person looks like fighting a UFC fighter. Yeah. Every now and then, everyone sitting at home can just be like, oh, that's right.
Yeah. It'll be like, hey, you, some guy's like, hey, kick him in the dick. Yep, you right there. You in the cage right now. Another guy, I could throw the flyweights around. Yeah, come on in. Let's have a look. I'd love that.
Yeah, like act like a fat bloke in with one of the girls every now and then, and just watch him get lit up like a Christmas tree, and just be like, "Oh, that's right, they're UFC fighters."
I can tell you've thought this through many times, Dan. Oh, with the opponent though, are you surprised by the lack of hands showing up? I had a look through Twitter. Maybe I'm missing something, but I was like, I don't see a lot of hands going up. Were you surprised by this? No one's calling you out.
Do we have any hands? What? Where are the hands?
The hands is in like people putting their hands up like I'll fight Dan, you know?
Oh, I thought we'd have some hands, boys. Where where all the hands?
All the hands. Are you surprised no one's calling you out for the Perth card? You made a pretty open invitation. You were like literally anybody.
I said absolutely anybody. I didn't say they have to be ranked. I didn't say they have to be ranked higher than me. I didn't say they had to be in my weight class. I didn't say they had to be a UFC fighter. I said anyone.
Brock Lesnar, what are you doing? Get down to Perth.
Get him up. Get him out.
Yeah, well, and by the way, like fan-wise and stuff, I know people need to get on some of these guys as well. Let's see who should be fighting Dan Hooker in Perth. Let's get out there. Let's get some hands. It's like, there's no hands at the moment. We need more hands. Okay, let's talk about, I just want to quickly sort of change topics for a sec, Dan. I know we were talking about Israel before, but I just want to get your thoughts on your close teammate and friend, Brad Riddell, because just the other day, yesterday, he mentioned he'd be stepping away from fighting for a little bit. And, unfortunately, things didn't pan out the way that he had hoped at Madison Square Garden. So I just want to get your reaction, man. Like, what was your chat like with Brad when you saw that he'd be stepping away from a bit? And, your reaction to him taking a break from the sport?
Nah, I've retired heaps, bro. He's full of, he'll be back.
Just not believing it at all.
Nah, it's like a knee-jerk reaction. I've been very guilty of this in the past. This is why I usually just shut my mouth after I lose, because that's all I say is that, like, I hate this. No, I'm done. This is like yeah. I think he'll be back. I think he's one of the best lightweights in the world. I feel like he's just been on like an unfortunate run, which is just a part of our game. It's a part of the game where we play. But yeah, I truly believe he'll figure it out. He'll be back in the gym and he'll be back fighting the best guys in the world in no time.
I don't expect you to uncover like the all the D&Ms that you guys have had, but just like loosely, have you told him this? Have you guys chatted about it? Because in his IG post, he made it seem like, the fire hasn't been there for a while. Like, did you guys chat about this? Or did you see anything like in the camp? Like, did he say anything to you? Like, oh man, I don't know if I'm feeling this camp. Because it sounded like this was like, one of the craziest camps leading into this event.
No, like obviously because he was like in the he was over in Bang Tao for like the first half of his camp, so obviously like he wasn't with us. And then I know he came back, and it's just one of those frustrating ones. You know what I mean? Like he just had like a frustrating camp. He's obviously not going to come out and like put any kind of excuses on and that, but he was he was going through some things. He was going through some like medical stuff and some injuries and stuff like that. So he just had like a bad camp and like a bad like lead up to the fight. I know that if he sorted those things out and he trains at like 100%, like he would have beaten Moicano like easy. Like it's just one of those things. It's just how unfortunate that it goes sometimes.
Yeah, and I mean he's one of the best strikers in the UFC, so it's just one of those things. Yeah, sometimes and he's been in the game for such a long time. He's a real veteran of combat sports. So, I mean, I know Captain Dan Hooker's going to be giving him calls from time to time, inviting him back to the gym, getting him ready to return. So I look forward to seeing what's next for Brad. But regardless, if people want to see some Brad Riddell classic highlights, definitely jump on YouTube and watch some of his kickboxing stuff as well. The guy's an absolute machine, especially a lot of the UFC fans in the US that are listening to us that haven't had a chance to see his stuff down here in Australasia. But Dan, you mentioned...
Sorry, just quickly, before we talk about Israel, You mentioned machine, Dennis, and if you want to become a machine, if you yourself want to become a machine, there is no better, quicker, and easier way than grooming yourself like a machine, like a champion, and becoming the best version of yourself. You can do it instantly with Manscaped's Lawnmower 4.0, the pound for pound best grooming tool in the world. Why settle for any less than the best? And they got it all. What kind of machine do you want to be? You want to be a bronze machine? You want to be silver? You want to be gold? No, you want to be a platinum made machine with the Platinum Package 4.0, the best value for money and the pound for pound greatest grooming tool in the world, the Lawnmower 4.0. And it also comes with the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, the ultra premium body wash, the ultra premium 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner, ultra premium deodorant, Crop Preserver anti-chafing ball deodorant, the Crop Reviver ball spray toner, and the free gifts, free underwear, the boxes, and the Shed travel bag. Picture this, you're going into the holiday season, ultra smooth, balls like eggshells, and you smell phenomenal, and you're clean as a whistle. I mean, undefeated, undisputed right there, isn't that right?
That's right, man. You guys can get 20% off and free shipping with the code word submission at Manscaped today. Get ready for Christmas and summer here in Australia, thanks to Manscaped. And Cass, what about our friends at MyBookie, making people's dreams come true and doubling those match deposits thanks to the code word submission? Unbelievable stuff happening this past week, and you know people got paid, and that's because they got 100% match deposit, dollar for dollar, all the way up to $1,000 with our friends at MyBookie by using our code word. MyBookie is really the only sports book to go to for any kind of sport that you guys want to make money on. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with the code word submission. Double those deposits with our friends at MyBookie, Cass.
Yeah, that's right. Also, if you want to save some money, a nice, cheeky, easy hack is with a VPN like NordVPN. I mean, you're going to be ordering stuff for Christmas, you're going to be ordering your gifts, and the same things cost different prices in different countries. You want to book some flights? Those same exact flights cost different depending on which country your computer thinks you're in and which currency you're using. Dennis did it with the NBA League Pass. I say it every week. He was like, I'm not paying full price. I'm not paying the Australian price for an NBA League Pass. I'm going to pay the whatever Filipino price or the Indonesian price. And that's exactly what you did. It works the same for Netflix, works the same for pay-per-views, works for all sorts of other streaming services, works for, pretty much anything. Also, you get the protection of hiding your IP address from everybody, including your internet service provider, so you don't have to worry about your internet service provider tracking your data. Every week, there's another freaking data breach. I got the email last week from Medibank, my former private health, saying we lost your data, this and that. So if your internet service provider has all your data, has all the spicy websites that you're looking at, and then if they get hacked or there's a breach, well, everybody knows what kind of funky hentai you're looking at. Don't let that happen. Have a VPN like NordVPN. And the best thing I love about it is there's no speed throttling and no buffering. So you can have the VPN running. I have it on all the times. I don't even know it's running in the background. And then anytime I watch anything, 4K, 1080p, whatever I want, there's no speed throttling, no buffering. Number one, pound for pound. Is that right, Dennis?
That's right, man. And this is a great time to try it because Nord is giving you guys a 30-day money-back guarantee, completely risk-free as we go into the holiday season. Why not save some money and try it for yourself today and, experience Nord for yourself. It really has the best apps as well for your phone. You guys can get a huge discount plus 4 months for free by going to nordvpn.com/submission or click the link in the description below and Nord up your life ahead of the holiday season. But Dan, you mentioned how it was kind of bittersweet going into the back. Yet the job wasn't done. You were watching Israel, and there's this really great photo of you in the back watching Israel after your fight. And I just want to go back to that fight. Like, looking at it, it was an absolute classic, like back and forth. And Israel was winning that fight towards, the end. In a lot of ways, it was kind of crazy because it kind of mirrored that second fight in a lot of ways where Israel was winning until he wasn't. Just want to get your thoughts, man. Like, what was your reaction when you saw how the fight was playing out initially? I mean, you would have thought that, okay, like this is Israel's fight. He's got this right here.
Yeah. I thought it was like a crazy fight. I thought it was like a wild fight. Like I thought he was up. I thought he was winning every round. Mixing in the takedowns, he almost knocked him out at the end of the second and stuff like that. I thought it was just a crazy fight. Like I was riding the roller coaster just like everyone else was out back, I think, just watching like this crazy fight. play out and unfold. So it was just a bit like surprising at the end. It's just the sport that we play. Like sometimes you get clipped with a shot and it can kind of send the fight in the opposite direction. But yeah, I was pretty not like too beat up because I know like what chapter's coming next, right? Like Israel just gets back in the gym, he rebuilds, and he gets his title back. Like it's just an epic rivalry that he's going to continue into the future. So just I knew that it's like that's far from the end of Israel. Like you can't tell me that like it's not like he was getting beat up and then he lost the fight. Like he was winning the fight and then he got clipped. Like it's just a part of the sport.
You think they should do an immediate rematch?
Oh, if he doesn't warrant an immediate rematch, like I don't know who does, you know, like he definitely, it's he wants to come back and I'd say an immediate rematch is definitely warranted.
Well, I was wondering, like, because he spoke about the peroneal nerve, how he got hit in it, and it affected his mobility. Could you notice that when you were watching? Were you like, oh fuck, something's wrong, like something's not, looking right here? And have you ever had that happen to you, like in the gym or anything?
Yeah, like your leg just goes like a bit dead, and I've definitely done it to people, so I definitely understand it. Nah, I didn't see it like anything, like nothing that I noticed, because obviously at that level, your poker face gets really good, so you're able to cover these kind of things up. So I didn't think he was like too compromised or anything like that. It's just a part of it. Sometimes you get hit with a good shot, and it takes you a little bit of time to shake it off or recover. So I wasn't, I thought he was fighting well.
Well, he was until the knockout came. Well, okay, not knockout, but until the loss came. And like, fair play to Alex. Like, he did an amazing job to come back the way he did. I think he really showed that like championship mentality to come back like that. But did you see the video of like the crowd where they kind of panned in the crowd and everybody looked like Christmas was cancelled? Like everyone is just holding their heads, like Leon Edwards. Who else was there? Aljo, Holly Holm. Everybody just looked depressed. It was such a weird thing. Like normally, if there's a new champion, like people might be shocked. People might be like, oh, but it just seemed like, I don't know, everyone was overwhelmingly like almost disappointed, as if like, oh, I don't know, the spell was broken or something. I've never seen anything like that. And what's fascinating about this is it's like a lot of people were so saddened by it, and yet you guys, the ones that it happened to, well, Israel and the whole team, are just so cool about it. You know what I mean? Like Israel's on Ariel's show. He did the post-fight press conference. He's not hiding away. He's not wallowing in any way. That contrast just fascinates me.
Yeah, I guess everyone was kind of just like that, because those are all the people that deal with Israel, like our back and stuff like that. And so they know, like, he's a cool cat. Like everyone likes him, right? Like, because he is actually cool. Like he's actually cool to all of those guys. Like he's cool with Leon and all of that, and he'll go out of his way. He'll go out of his way to say hi to people and hang out with people and be cool and stuff like that. So you can definitely understand why people had that reaction. But yeah, like I was definitely not surprised by how well he dealt with it. Like he's an absolute champion. It's the same way, he dealt with when he went for the light heavyweight championship and it didn't pan out. Like he did the exact same thing. Like he did the press conference. Like he really mans up. Like he's very gracious in defeat, and that's like a true champion. Is how a champion carries himself when the chips are down. And the chips are down, and he continued to carry himself like a champion.
And I like the fact that in this position, maybe a lot of people would have complained about the stoppage. Like when I was watching it, I won't lie, I was like, yeah, that could be a little bit early. Like in my books, I'm like, he's the undisputed champ, so maybe you give him a little bit more leeway, a little bit more of a chance to show you something. But at the same time, you never want to see somebody take damage that they shouldn't be taking, because that stuff is irreversible. So he handled that pretty well. I know he initially thought it might have been a bit early, but then he kind of said, look, the team thought, there was a decent stoppage. I wonder, like, what did you think with that stoppage? I know that it's a tricky topic. It's like a weird line to walk.
Yeah, it is like a weird line to walk, even as like a friend, because I know what he's capable, and because I've been there in the past. Like you have to absolutely like you say that as the fighter, you're like, make sure I hit. Like, make sure.
Have you said that before to one of your corners before? Like, because you were looking
Or
at
like a ref.
Oh, yeah, they know me. They know me. Like, I don't even have to say it to, like, referees know, you know what I mean? You can say all you want, all that tough guy act, but, yeah, I don't know. Like, you as the fighter is always going to think that, but then me watching it as like a friend, I just want him to be all right. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather as a friend and as a teammate, I'd rather it too early than too late. As a fighter, you're obviously like, make sure make sure I'm really not moving, you know what I mean? But as a friend, as a teammate, I would prefer it to be too early than too late.
What do the jackets feel like?
The coat.
The majestic coat.
I was just walking around pretending to be Frank Lucas from American Gangster. Yes! Alpaca. You drop that shit. You don't drop it. I was really enjoying it. But I was like, I'm going to take it off before I spill something on it because I am not paying for this.
You know how much it costs? I'll just be curious.
I didn't even want to ask. Really. I don't even ask. I don't even know what animal that is. I don't know how many of them had to die to get it made. I don't know. I have no idea.
Get arrested out the front of Madison Square Garden because people think you're a pimp like Kramer and Seinfeld. Quiet, pimp. All right. So I want to find out, Dan, just quickly before we wrap, how is the body feeling though? Like, I know Perth is the target. That's the destination. You look really like basically you haven't really even been in a fight, but how's your leg? How's the body feeling? Just making sure everything's feeling good as we wrap up.
Yeah, good. No, he didn't even hit me once. Yeah, he was going for my legs and stuff like that. But I thought you would have known by now that watch my fights. Like I'm a stretchy dude. Like I'm not a rigid man. I'm not easy to break. But I'll be good. We'll just chill out. Probably this week I'll go into the gym. Just shoot the shit with the boys. No real I'll get a week off. Give me a week off, and then we're back in the gym Monday. Camp time.
I love it. It's around the corner, man. Make Perth happen. Somebody please call out Dan. We want a nice, juicy opponent. I wish Tony Ferguson would like take a break from Harvard and be like, I'll come down to Perth, spin that chair around, call you out. I mean, just as a fan, like that will be a fun fight to make. But I hope you get a juicy opponent. Follow the man on Instagram at Dan Hangman. And on Twitter, at Dan the Hangman. You're going to need that for when you call Dan out. And in the meantime, happy to see you back in the win column, Dan. Congratulations, man. And thanks so much for chatting with us today.
Thank you, boys. Too easy.